Hello, everyone. Welcome to our week 5 Q&A session. We are going to get started by going through the announcement that I made about the extra credit. So here you can see there's an announcement on Blackboard in your class website, and we are going to just kind of talk through it real quick because I want to make sure everything is clear and make sure that you guys understand what I need you to do in order to get credit back for your uh, midterm exam, as well as what I need you to do for the paper. Okay, so first let's cover the midterm corrections. So the reason that I do this is because one of the best ways for you to learn is actually to correct your own mistakes. And that's why I grade your homework the way I do. I want you to go back and review the answers and figure out what you did wrong, why, and come up with the answers as to how you fix it and how you move forward. So, and learn the material and get it right, right? So basically, that is the main objective here with you correcting your midterms. So you can go into your midterm and you can see all of the correct answers. Okay, so we had a lot of people actually that did really very well for on the midterm. So congrats, very proud of you guys for that. You don't have much to correct. Some people didn't have anything to correct. So, just keep in mind if you do have things to correct, must be done in one Excel worksheet. And I'm going to say this again because I keep getting homework and assignments that are turned in what is more than one Excel worksheet. Okay, so let me just show you one more time what I'm looking for. Okay, so one sheet, just one. And I want your problems to go down the page, right? So problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, you create your balance sheet or whatever over here. You create your income statement over here. You do your journal entry, just down the page. Because what I'm going to do then is come over here in like one of the columns over to the right of your work and put in here, if you missed anything else, take points off. And then what I do at the very bottom of it when I get down here is I sum everything that's in that column. Okay, so that is the reason, one of the main reasons that I want you to do it in this format. It makes it much easier to grade than having 50 different tabs along the bottom here with one problem on each tab. That's a lot of clicking. Okay, I'm trying to make it both easy on myself and easier on you for when you review these problems, okay, on your on your answer key. All right, so again, one worksheet, just one, with problems down. Okay, is that clear? Does everybody understand that? Okay, perfect. All right, so that's first thing. Number 1, must be turned in Excel. Okay. Next, you must tell me what you did wrong on that problem causing you to miss the problem, especially for any calculated problems, or your thought process of why you answered something the way you did. Okay, so what made you think that the answer that you were putting was correct? Okay, because here's the thing, guys. One thing you should always be doing in any class, in any, even in your job, honestly, it even helps in life. Always reflect. What did I do well? What did I not do well? How can I learn and grow from this? Right? So, what caused me to think the way I did? And actually think about, the process that you went through to arrive at that answer, and then realize the component that didn't match up to the correct answer. Correct that, and tell me how to do it correctly. So that's the next step. You've got to show your work. You've got to tell me how you arrive at the correct answer. Okay, so I'm not looking for this to be a short exercise. This is, you need to write out in those cells, what you did wrong, why you did that, and how do you correct it? What's the correct way to do it? And write it out. So this is also kind of a writing exercise. It's a reflection, writing, you're doing the problems again and you're getting it, right? If you don't get it, if you can't give me that level of information, then you don't know it, okay? And you need to ask for help, all right? So understand that this is an exercise of you getting these problems right, because again, accounting is a growing topic. If you don't get it now, you're going to continue to not get it all the way through managerial accounting, which is required. Okay, so we've got to establish that you understand the first half of this class. Okay, so I want everybody to take advantage of this extra credit work because it's a great opportunity. All right, does that make sense? Anybody have any questions on what they're to do to get half of your points back? And when I say I'll give you half your points back, I mean if you had a 20-point problem, I don't think there were any, but if you had a 20-point problem and you correct this and you give me all 3 of those components that I just laid out, you will get 10 of those points back. Okay? So take your score, say you got a 250 out of 350. Okay, so that's 100 points missed. You can earn 50 points back and get a 300 out of 350. And that makes a huge difference. Then on top of it, if you do the paper that I've offered up here, and you do it within my guidelines and my instructions here, okay, and you do it well, you put work into it, because this isn't just, I don't want, if I see anybody going out and copying and pasting stuff from the internet, and believe me, I will Google your papers. If I see that, not only will you not get credit for it, I will report it because that's plagiarism. Okay? And that's something that McKendree University, any university, holds, as one of the highest offenses that you can make. Okay? It's like cheating. All right? Don't do it. It shows that you didn't learn anything from the exercise and from the assignment. And it also shows that you're trying to shortcut yourself out of your degree. And you don't want to do that. Okay, this is your opportunity. Okay, so for the paper, let's talk about that. Okay, has to be 3 to 5 pages. Okay, and if you really do it justice, you're going to get roughly about 4 pages, if not a little more. Okay, 3 to 5 well-written pages. Okay, proper grammar, check your grammar, check your format, make sure it's double spaced, just APA style, APA format, okay? And you're going to talk about what is GAAP, what are the differences between GAAP and IFRS, so what is IFRS, okay? As well as an analysis of when a company would use one or the other or both. Okay, and there is a correct answer to that. Okay, so if you can answer that question, it shows that you know what GAAP and IFRS is, and it shows you know how to apply it. Okay, both of them are accounting related, and both of them are heavily used by every single company that's out there. Okay, any software system that has been written to keep your books is GAAP compliant. That's one of the major selling points of any software system. So they pretty much all have to be GAAP compliant. They are also If they deal with international transactions, they are IFRS compliant. Okay? Keeping in mind that both of these topics change constantly. Okay? So you have to go and find resources that can talk about GAAP and IFRS. And I'll give you a clue that many of the financial accounting standards boards, FASB, are great sources for GAAP and IFRS information. Okay? Do not, and I'm going to say this again, do not put in your works cited page or in your in-text citations that you got anything from Wikipedia, Investopedia, or any other such website. Those are not valid sources. I don't want to see them in a paper. I will automatically not give you credit for it. Okay? Those sources, and the reason that I say that, those sources are basically written by anybody that contributes information. Okay? What I'm looking for is scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles and organizations such as FASB. Okay, so don't give me things like Forbes or Money or anything like that talking about, GAAP and IFRS. Those are opinion magazines, and they are very different from scholarly articles. Scholarly articles mean somebody that actually has a degree, likely in the topic, and has written that article based off of research that they've conducted. Okay, so that is what I'm looking for with a scholarly peer-reviewed article. And you have to get used to writing like this, guys, because if you're going to get an advanced degree, you're going to be required to do this. So if you go to get a master's in anything, it's not just in accounting, but in anything, you're going to be required to write using scholarly sources if you haven't been already. Okay, so make sure that you're using APA format, okay, with your in-text citations, meaning you have to have a citation in the paragraph. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'm gonna let you guys see. One of mine. Give me just a minute. Yeah. Oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. All right. So this is actually my dissertation. All right. So this is what I mean by in-text citations, right? This is APA format. Okay. And this is multiple sources, right? So this is one, etc. Okay. Let me see if I can find one that has just one. Here we go. So this is one source. Okay. So that's how you cite it in text, like within a paragraph, right? Then when you come down here, you get down to my works cited page. Where is it? Above the appendix. Here we go. So this is my works cited page. As you can see, there's a lot of resources. When you write a dissertation, just in chapter 2, you have to have at least 50 resources. So, okay. So this is what an APA format looks like. Okay. You've got your hanging indent. This is just one source, right? So your author, with their initials, the year that it was published, the title, the journal that it came out of, or the publisher, right? The edition that it is, the pages, and then the reference number, right? If there is one. If not, no big deal, okay? So you can see, just found one of my own mistakes. You can see that there, are multiple resources here, right? So that is what a works cited page looks like in APA format. Okay? Helpful? Yes, you do also add the website, that the date that you access the website. Yes. Mine are not website related. They're actually journal articles that I pulled out of the library. Okay. So they're not true website related, which is why you don't put that in here. Okay. But if you need a resource to tell you how to do things in APA format, go and Google it. APA, let's say 6th edition. Yeah. Well, just do format. And I know that McKendree's library has all of this information as well. This OWL English from Purdue, we use this a lot. It's APA Formatting and Style Guide. There's also a book that you can buy. You can do this apastyle.org, and it'll give you the most recent ways to. This is the manual. I actually bought this, and if you are going to do an advanced degree, I highly recommend that you buy this, because it will help you learn, how you're supposed to properly write a paper and cite things correctly, from anything from interviews with somebody, there's all types of citations, right? So this is really, really, you're going to have it if you decide you want to get, and it's really not that expensive. I think I got mine from was it Books A Million or Barnes and Noble, one of the two of them, for $21. So it's not a huge amount, So, but definitely, go on there and take a look at that, and just make sure that you're formatting APA. And just keep in mind, I know that that's not really familiar for a lot of people, but it's something that I want you to get more familiar with. So that is what you need to do for this paper. Keep in mind, I'm going to be looking at a lot of not only your content, but also the paragraph structure. And did you put in there an introduction, some supporting paragraphs, and a conclusion? You have to have that introduction and that conclusion, and you have to have the supporting paragraphs. Okay. Typically, I don't like paragraphs to be any longer than 7 sentences, because that's getting a little too wordy. You need to change topics, or keep it very organized. Okay. Don't do run-on sentences either. Kevin asked when the paper is due. It will be due, I'll give you until the following Sunday, October the 8th at 11:59 p.m. And I'll post that announcement this evening after we get done. Okay? That way you can focus on your corrections this week. You can focus on the paper the following week. Okay? I want to see everybody do this if possible. I know it's an extra credit opportunity, and some people don't have a lot of extra time, but at the same time, it's something that I highly encourage, because it's not only a good learning experience, and I can tell you, GAAP and IFRS, you don't have to go into accounting for this to affect you. Any company you work for is under GAAP and IFRS. If they're international, they're under IFRS and GAAP. Okay, if they're doing business in the United States, they're under GAAP. It doesn't matter if they're public or private. because a lot of private companies that I've worked with, and keep in mind I'm a consultant, so I work with a lot of companies. Um, every company that I've worked with, public and private, has to follow GAAP. Okay. Um, a lot of them do have independent auditors come in, because here's the thing: most companies get started with some sort of investment from somebody somewhere, and when that's the case, you're held accountable to be good stewards of the money that's been invested in you. So unless it's a 100% sole proprietorship and they don't have any equity that is owed to anybody, they may not necessarily be following GAAP 100% to the T, but for tax purposes, they can get themselves in a lot of hot water by not following GAAP, because tax auditors are going to be looking to see that you recognized revenue when you were supposed to, when you've reported expenses as you're supposed to, that your profits are accurately reported, and definitely like your taxes in terms of sales tax, sales and use tax, and things like that are reported accurately. So really, pretty much everybody gets stuck up under GAAP anyway, if they're doing business in the United States. If they're doing business internationally, they also have to follow IFRS, because every country is different. So European Union wants things reported one way. APAC may look to report them differently. APAC is Asia Pacific, so all the Asian companies over in the Pacific, okay? And then, of course, you've got Canada that does things differently from the United States, right? There's VAT tax and all kinds of other things up in Canada. So that's the reason that I have you do this, is because it's not only going to help you. If you have any intention of starting your own business, you need to know this stuff. If you have intentions of going and working publicly, you're going to need to know this. Okay. If you have intentions of going and working with a private company, you're going to have to know this. Okay. And it just helps you understand when the accountants come to you and say, we got to get your expenses reported on time, or, just anything, why wasn't this contract closed out at this time when we said it was going to be? There are reasons that they're asking those questions. It's not because, they want to be hard on anybody. It's because they literally have to have an answer for the IRS or for the auditors or somebody else, because they're going to ask, why was this reported differently than what you reported it last month or last quarter, right? So this is a really good learning opportunity for you guys, and it's a good exercise. So it's something I highly encourage you to do. Again, you're responsible for your education and making sure that you're taking full advantage of the opportunities presented to you. Okay? Any questions on the paper? Okay. Any other questions? Question on the midterm. Okay? What's your question? Where do you find your test? All right. So it's hard for me to show you that because I'm not registered as a student, but I think if you go to my grades, want to say, see, it doesn't show me. You can go back into your grade book, okay, and there's a way for you to click into that attempt. It'll say something like view attempt. Okay, so yes, my grades, and then click on the midterm, and then you click on the number you got. Okay, Yep. So thank you, Tabitha. You go into My Grades, and then you click on the midterm, and then you click on the number that you got correct or what have you, and it'll take you into the quiz. And in that quiz, it's going to show you the right and wrong answers. Okay. So for instance, I can actually go, let me go into modules, module 4. I'm not going to actually edit the test, but when you get into it, it should look something like this. Okay, and you'll see what your answer was and what the correct answer is, right? So you'll have your answer and the correct answer. You'll see how many points you got out of it over off to the side, etc. Okay? Thank you, Tabitha, for that information. That's helpful. Okay. The final is formatted differently. Yes. The final, you can go out and see exactly what's on the final. I don't know if you guys realize that or not, but if you go down to Module 8, here's the final. Okay? The final exam is actually a Word document. You're going to submit your answers to me in Excel, and it's right here. So it's no secret. Okay? You're going to submit it to me just like you would a homework assignment in Excel. Okay? All right. Any other questions? All right, guys. All right, so if there's no other questions, just let me know if anything comes up, okay? Again, the midterm corrections are due this Sunday, October 1st, by 11:59 p.m. The paper is due the following Sunday, October the 8th at 11:59 p.m. Okay? And I'll make sure that I post that and an announcement on the website. Alrighty? Okay, guys. Well, thank you for hopping on tonight and hanging with me. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm always happy to help. Text, email, whatever works best for you. And, really appreciate the efforts. You guys are doing great. So just keep up the good work. We're already over halfway, and only a few weeks left. So let's just finish out strong and see everybody making A's all the way through to the end. Sound good? All right. Have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you. Good night.